Again, this is Karen Smith from Radio South Africa, brought to you weekly by the Gatehouse show. It seems in these early moments of a new year only right to talk about the children of South Africa. So I would like to read you an article written by my good friend Lucas van Hout, an American whose experiences in South Africa frequently touch my heart, and his insight into things that South Africans miss. There are many, many aspects of culture that many of us take for granted, so inherent and integral they have become within our various cultures. One of these gems is children. Children, yes, children, and how wonderful, truly wonderful children can be. Of course, then, there are those times when they try us beyond our patience, pushing us to the brink of insanity, and many of us not realizing that these beings, staring up at us with those eyes and facial expressions, are professional children who are very skilled in how to irritate parents to get what they want. Then there are those many tales that even in adulthood, those rascals still keep those secrets of theirs behind their parents' back activities that would fail our hearts at their discovery, and activities that remain unknown to their parents beyond the years of childhood. We all remember. Then there are those many mornings when we want so desperately to sleep in, only to be awakened by their outdoors activities, laughter, screams, squeals of delight, fights, and so on. Drives us nuts sometimes. But oh, how we love the sounds of children at play. Children playing outside with their friends and in the suburbs up and down the streets as though they were insane. Children riding their bicycles up and down the sidewalks, almost daring us to not move. Children on their skateboards, rollerblades, and whatever new device they might have acquired with their pleading eyes and their pleading voices, wearing their parents down to finally purchase these tools of childhood. Oh, how they push us to madness sometimes. But again, oh, how we love them and all their sounds. For the first few months while I was in South Africa, I had noticed something very eerie. It took me a few weeks before I realized that these sounds of children are not heard anymore out of doors, except for family outings and such. Mostly children are confined to homes or small yards, or in bigger communities, those larger secured play areas. This longing to hear these sounds of children at play never leaves, and is a constant reminder of the absence of children. Every single day and every single evening, this silence shouts this absence to the very core of one's existence. Yes, there are some communities where children can play with a reasonable level of security, but generally, no. Many parents simply refuse to take a chance with their children's lives and keep them close and within hearing and seeing distance, even in the so-called gated and secured communities. There are the various recreational parks and reserves that are set aside and guarded, but again, generally no. Too dangerous. And even on many farms and rural communities, these same cautions are employed, and sometimes to no avail. Parks and playgrounds, as we know them, are completely out of the question, though they may be found, but in less and less of these communities, and then usually within gated communities. City parks the same, too dangerous, unkempt, and throughout South Africa, too unsanitary from the litter and trash and human waste left behind. And again, yes, there are exceptions to these rules, but those parks that people will visit do so in large groups for security, or in attendance of some activity like music festivals. Rarely, if ever, do families go to parks for an outing like we do. As time went on, my ears and eyes longed to hear these sounds so frighteningly removed from these South African communities, from what we know and enjoy and take for granted here in the USA with our own children. It was a constant reminder of the impending death of a culture. There was a time when this was not so. South African cities boasted some of the most secure and finest recreational parks in the world, places of beauty and gardens that take the breath away, always so beautiful they once were. I still sigh as I remember. Remember these things the next time you're awakened by children at play, or the next time you stroll through a park, or stand outside in your yard. Wonder, just for a moment, wonder the tragedy of the absence of the sounds of children at play. Childhood should be a time of learning, nurturing, and play. Childhood should include dreams of what I'm going to be when I grow up. Childhood should not be a hopeless cesspool of self-loathing and hopelessness. Nor should any child bear witness to the destruction of their historical and ethnic identity. Children should not be ashamed of what they are, much less be punished for who they are. Unfortunately, for white children who live in South Africa, the above is true. That is, except for the nurturing, play, learning, and dreams of what they are going to be. In fact, for many white children, their future has already been decided, and that future is one of living in informal squatter camps without running water or electricity, without access to education, or sometimes even food. Their future is a future of unemployment and poverty. Their future is a future of not knowing where their next meal will come from. And many of these children will die before they reach adulthood because of things like complications from malnutrition, disease, from unsanitary conditions, and from illnesses that were supposedly eradicated decades ago, but that will claim some of these children because their government will not immunize them due to their cursed Afrikaans heritage. Many of these children eat only a few times a week, and most have never had a medical checkup or even seen a dentist. Who relegated these children to such a bleak and sad future, if they even have a future, that is? Well, you and I did, of course. The world has willfully turned a blind eye to the suffering of these precious little ones, and we are responsible for not paying attention and helping. There were 827 children murdered in South Africa in 2012-2013. That is more than 2 a day. Added to that is the 21,575 children who were assaulted, with almost half of these assaults being severe. Now, these feel like just numbers, mostly, when I read them to you. But these are lives, precious little lives. We all love our children. We want the best for our children. But these little ones have no future, and possibly not even a life for very much longer. We ex-South Africans, Americans, and everybody around the world need to step up and pay attention. One life saved, people, is a miracle, an absolute miracle, and we need to step up and save them. I had the honor of working with the Sister Thunder Show and Sunette Bridges and Delian Nodea in providing money to provide a Christmas feast for some 170 children in South Africa. And the reports were wonderful. The pictures were wonderful. The smiles and the happiness of those children will live with me forever. But it's not enough. We cannot supply them a meal once a year and feel good about ourselves. These children need help every minute of every day. They need food, clothes, a place to live, a loving, safe environment, and most of all, an education. Without each one of us stepping up to the plate and helping, these children have no future. And if they do, it is very, very bleak. So what can we do? We can help. We can donate. We can send clothes. We can help the good people who are trying to build homes and give these people a sustainable, safe future with an education for their children. There are two very worthy charities, Makadesh Farm Ministries, which you can find on Facebook, and Klein Fillet, run by Sunette Bridges. These organizations are desperately trying to get the money together to build homes for these children to live in, to give these children a loving home, a safe place to live, and a future. They will teach the parents how to grow their own food, how to provide a safe, sustainable food source for their children, and they will supply money and funds and school supplies for an education for these children. There are other charities. I am not saying they are the only ones, but please, people, step up, do something to help. It's a new year, a new beginning. Let us try and provide a new beginning for these darling, precious lives. Thank you, and I'll speak to you next week.